Well, hello, Rebecca.
Well, hey, Dad. And hello, and welcome to our Shallow Friends. Welcome back.
Yeah, we got another episode of The Shallow End here. We have new tech.
We do.
We're testing new tech so that hopefully everyone can hear us.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe it's taken 22.
We've tried multiple times.
We have. It's a lot of trial and error.
There was
mostly error.
There was the Temu failure period. There was
just raw laptop microphone.
raw Apple attempts that didn't work at all. No. There was the one microphone attempt from, then there was the Best Buy era.
Oh yeah.
And
those
then,
worked for a little.
Yeah, and then not
broke.
at all. And now we are on to the next iteration, which is our Hello China. Thank you for listening. So these are DJI microphones.
And we hope you're enjoying the crisp sound of our beautiful tones, our dulcet tones.
While piloting your drone,
which
also comes from the same company.
Over New Jersey.
Shout out to all our New Jersey drone fans. So I always do a little bit of a review of all of our shallow friends.
Oh yes.
And I noted there's two things I wanted to bring up today. Number one, we hit it big in a place that I didn't ever expect to hit it big.
Wow.
Since the last episode, our popularity in Russia has gone through the roof.
Oh my gosh.
So, hey Vlad, good to see you. Hope you like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't send any missiles to me, Kay.
Hey, buddy.
All right, cool, great. Glad we can be besties.
Just trying to keep the peace here, bud.
And then whoever was listening to The Shallow End from Germany.
Oh, okay. Well, we've had one person in Spain downloading reliably
every time. Yeah.
And I always look out for them.
Yeah.
For every episode, I'm like, did they download? Yep, there
they
are.
Yeah, they did. Yep. And then in Germany, our population of listeners quadrupled.
Oh my gosh! From 1 to 4, or from 0 to 0?
Shh, we don't need to talk about details.
Wow, okay. That's amazing.
That's pretty fun. But and then also, do you ever look at the Spotify year in review stuff?
Like the Spotify Wrapped?
Yeah.
For my own private Spotify, did we get one?
We get one as a creator. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I watched it.
I want to watch it.
Okay. So here are the things that, first of all, not terribly encouraging. I wouldn't say you should go ahead and hang your hat on it.
0 listeners this year.
But here were some of the numbers that I thought were very interesting.
Fun and cool.
And I like how they try to spin the numbers to make you feel better.
Fuck, we don't have enough data for this account.
Yeah, no. So it starts off great. We were top 10 on Spotify for 22 people.
Oh,
that means for 22 people, we were in their top 10.
Wait, that's not bad. The Shallow End was in my top 10 podcasts.
Yeah, we're 2 of them.
Yeah,
okay?
we're 2 of them.
Okay.
But 22 is still a lot of people.
Hi, all 22 of you.
Maybe it's people that don't use Spotify, and they were like,
this is the only reason they're
using Spotify?
Yeah, that's probably part of it. We were top 5 for 19 people.
It was in my top 5.
We were number 1 for 8 people.
Wow.
There are 8 people. I feel really guilty about going off calendar now. Like we haven't reliably delivered episodes for those 8 people. Ironically, our family has 8 people in it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's them, Dad.
Okay.
Let me just say, based on the vibes in this room currently, I would say.
Oh, come on. The storm cloud just passed. Yeah. So
8 people. Wow.
Also, it's told me at the very end, it gave the Shallow End a podcast type.
Well,
like a personality test.
Oh, okay.
What would you think?
Well, they categorized us. We didn't do it as comedy and
there's a bunch of stuff
discussion or something like that.
Well, it's close to that. The way that it's just one word. It was conversationalist.
Yes.
Which means we provide no information.
Correct.
It's just us.
Oh, no. Okay, you want to know what we are classified on as
what?
On Spotify? Comedy, culture, and film.
Film?
I don't think we've ever spoken about
I don't think we've talked about film at all. But
so somebody...
Okay. I think we have China to thank for that as well.
Yeah. Wow. The conversationalist. That is
I
that's
mean,
accurate.
I like that better than the essayist.
Do you think they made an AI listen to
The Shallow End?
The Shallow End and try to give us a classification?
We should probably do that. Like run it through AI and say, give us an opinion of this.
Rate this podcast from 1 to 10.
Woof.
Oh, I don't need criticism from a robot.
No.
I get enough of that.
Right, we get enough criticism.
Yeah.
All right, so it's also, this is a special episode.
Okay.
Do you know that?
We're feeling 22.
No. Someone's feeling 25.
Okay, I turned 25.
Rebecca had a birthday.
Like a week ago.
Yeah, but we were supposed to be recording a week ago.
We were supposed to be recording the day before my birthday, and then I said I don't wanna.
This is my first surprise of this episode.
Okay.
This is what I have for you. And you just have to listen to it.
Hey, Rebecca. Talia Suskauer here. I played Elphaba on the national tour and in the Broadway productions of Wicked. And your dad tells me that you are turning 25. Okay, December birthday. Happy birthday. I hear you're a huge Wicked fan, and that you and your dad also do a podcast together called The Shallow End. That is really cool. I have to give it a listen. I'm a big podcast girl. My sister's name is Becca. Fun fact. Rebecca, but we call her Becca. Anyway, happy birthday. I hope you have the best day ever. And I hope you have the most incredible new year coming up. And I wish you and your dad a lot of success with this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Bye.
That's so cool. What the heck?
So there you go. We got our good friend Talia Suskauer to shout you out.
That's so cool.
So happy birthday.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's awesome. Can you send me that?
Of course I can send you that.
Thank you.
I wanted to show it to you live,
then
I will send it to you.
That's so cool. I'm fangirling just a minute.
I think that you probably saw her on stage.
I think I did too. I think I did. I think she was our Elphaba when they came to Grand Rapids.
All right. Well, now back to business,
cool.
okay?
Oh
Back to
gosh.
business. We need to talk business.
Awesome.
We've joked around. Very early on, we had Pauly sponsoring us, right?
Yeah.
And I shouted out Breeze a couple times.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm drinking right now.
There you go. So I've been thinking about how do we advance things on the commercial front?
How do we evolve?
I got to figure out how are we going to pay the zero salary Kevin intern or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So I decided what we really need to do is we need to start practicing our ad reads.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Okay.
Okay. So I have two real advertisers. But the idea is maybe they'll pay us if we can read these well.
If nobody's ever done this, where they do the ad and then get paid for it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. No.
So maybe we can be trailblazers.
And when I say they're real advertisers, I truly, really found these advertisers. So, do you want to do ad read A or ad read B? And I can tease you with the names of the advertiser, and you can choose which one you want to do.
Give me some info, and then I'll
jump in. These are real scripts here, people.
He printed something, guys. We're serious.
All right, so ad read A is for a little company you might have heard of.
Okay.
Called WeUndies.
Oh yeah, WeUndies. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then ad read B would be for another huge podcast advertiser named Sparespace.com.
Ooh, Sparespace. Oh, okay.
So which one would you prefer to read?
That's a tough choice. I think I'm going to go WeUndies. WeUndies.
Okay, this is a cold read, people. Right. So WeUndies.
I won't look at it until you tell me action when it's time for me to look.
WeUndies, you got to be very generous with us regarding the evaluation of this.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Yep.
Ad read A, go.
Our listeners know how important looking and feeling our best are to the Shallow End crew. And that's why we're big fans of WeUndies.
WeUndies!
The underwear that's uncomfortably ahead of its time. If you're tired of boring, ordinary underwear that just sits there, you have to check out WeUndies, the only vibrating, self-cleaning underwear that's always slightly too small.
I'm losing energy here. What's going on?
Sorry. Okay. WeUndies features patented vibrating comfort technology so you can feel the tingle of innovation all day long. Is it a massage? Is it a reminder you're alive? Who knows, but you'll feel something. Our proprietary self-cleaning fabric means you can forget laundry day. Thanks to advanced nanotechnology, WeUndies cleans itself after every wear. Although this process may tickle if you're still attached to your pair. And with WeUndies, you can be assured of a snug fit forever with our perpetual squeeze feature, designed to hug you just a little too tightly because life's about growth. But not for your undies. WeUndies are perfect for people who think comfort is overrated, fans of constant low-grade excitement, or laundry haters looking to spice things up. You may even find yourself spontaneously dancing, awkwardly buzzing about your pelvis in public, and expressing newfound and wholly unjustified confidence. Order now at WeUndies.com and enter promo code TOOSHALLOW to get a second pair free. But let's be honest, one is probably enough. That's WeUndies.com, promo code TOOSHALLOW. WeUndies, for those who live on the edge and just slightly outside their comfort zone.
Oh.
Ah, what happened?
She's back. All right. Wow. I think the WeUndies people are going to be pretty happy about that. We lost you a little bit on the vibrating technology, I think.
It made me...
Maybe if you were wearing WeUndies, you wouldn't have lost...
I might have gotten it if I had experienced them. I don't actually want to talk about this anymore.
Okay. Well, there you go, WeUndies.
No, that was really good.
Okay.
Dad, this is really good. I think that we should get paid extra for writing the ad read, too.
Well,
I think it's your turn, though.
I was accused of trying to do an SNL skit with these reads, but...
Who accused you of this?
Your mother.
Oh, Mommy.
I mean, they are kind of
the long-suffering size off.
Okay. Anyway, here we go. Our
second sponsor.
Our other sponsor in waiting is Sparespace. Most people don't know that the Shallow End website is exclusively hosted on Sparespace.com. These guys have been turning other websites' empty space into your prime real estate for some time now. Here's how it works. If you've got a killer website but no visitors, simply go to Sparespace.com and sign up for this sneaky service that slaps your site onto blank pages and error pages across the web. Because if they're not using the space, why shouldn't you? Sparespace will find abandoned 404 pages, parking pages, and forgotten digital wastelands, and just slip your website in like a ninja with a marketing degree. Just like that, boom, random clicks turn into your traffic. Why choose Sparespace? Because blank pages still have a ton of potential. Don't let a page not found go to waste when it could be promoting your blog, online shop, or meme archive. Error pages? No errors. We turn digital dead ends into shiny new beginnings for you. Plus, with Sparespace, there are no flashing banner ads or pop-ups, just your site casually crashing someone else's party. Don't just take it from us here at the Shallow End. Sparespace has handfuls of satisfied customers. Here are a couple of testimonials. Oh. I thought I was visiting an old GeoCities page. Turns out I bought a kayak. Thanks to Sparespace, my website is everywhere. My mom is so proud.
Yeah.
So, act now. Someone else's error page could be your breakthrough. Visit sparespace.com and enter promo code 404MeASAP at checkout for 3 free months. Sparespace.com, because the internet has plenty of room for your ambition.
Wow. Snaps.
Yeah?
That was really
good.
Did
we do okay?
That was amazing.
So I think the money,
It's only a matter of time.
Let me check my phone.
Yeah,
oh, wait, we're not live.
A little part of me was like, oh, yeah, check your email. Refrigerator. This has got to work.
Here we are.
Wow, that was really amazing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. You crushed it, by the way.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait till we have real ad reads. And also, MeUndies and Squarespace, please don't sue us.
Please don't.
Parody, satire, blah, blah, blah.
We took it
fair use.
and we expanded upon it, so you can't sue us. But if you do want to pay us,
we could do a straight read. Yeah, if you want to pay us,
we're open to discussions.
We can definitely do it.
Email us.
Now let's talk about weed.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
brother.
baby.
All right, to jump into the meat of the show, or the weed of the
weed
show.
of the show.
That's
not good.
That was not good.
Don't cut it, though.
Leave your shame in. Expose it to the world.
Live your shame.
That is kind of one of the benefits of being the editor, is if I make a joke that's just as bad, I can cut it, but I leave all of your bad jokes in.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have to start listening to the podcast now to give feedback? Don't do that.
Sometimes. Okay.
So
introduce your article.
Yeah, article number 1 here. I don't know how I keep doing this, but I keep finding like absolute top of the list best names of all time for the authors of my articles. This one I can't get out of my head. Her name is Maren Cogan.
Maren Cogan. I didn't have her.
Maren Cogan. I don't know what that sounds like to me.
It sounds like Gaelic. Maren.
Yeah, or a new treatment for rheumatoid arthritis.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
I mean,
Side effects
talk to your doctor
death.
today about Maren Cogan.
Oh my gosh.
No, the article is entitled "How Weed Won Over America, Land of the Free, Home of the Blazed." And
awesome.
If that sounds like someone's going to be really excited about how weed won over America, the answer is no, she is not.
She's
she
really
hates
mad.
it.
Yeah, she really wants to tell us all the bad things, but she can't really come up with any.
Yeah, so she just distorts a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is, okay, also, mea culpa. I gotta start finding shorter articles.
Yeah.
I really do. We just did the math before we started, and I did cut it down about in half.
Yep. The one last time was 15 pages.
This one is just too long still, though.
Well, yes, I agree. This one's like
6.
Oh, it's 6.
It's
we
6.
did this. We already had this.
I know. We already did this.
Why are we?
My short-term memory issues are contagious, apparently.
Well, it's probably all the weed that I'm
Oh,
smoking.
well, let's just get into it then, huh? Maren has a lot of opinions.
Maren has a lot to say.
And this is also, you can find this on Vox.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to read it. The links will be in the
description as always,
so.
yes, if you are curious.
So, what was your first impression when I said, "Oh, read this article, please, Rebecca? How weed won over America"?
I was totally interested because it's true. It's exploded, and I was like, I was looking forward to reading about more of maybe the economics or the social movement behind it. But this was more of not that. It was more of. It felt like when, a 6-year-old woman on the street gives you a dirty look because you have a nose piercing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what's your reasoning behind that? And then they have no ground to stand on. They just don't like it. That's what it felt like. It felt like somebody was writing an article because they don't like weed, and then they Googled, why is weed bad, and found 2 doctors who would agree with it.
Yeah, I thought it was very strange because it tees it all up as look at the explosion of weed and and starts to try to talk about well, people have had
there are some side effects.
Well, this is but this has become popular because it's kind of understood that it's far less toxic and addicting than alcohol and things like that. But she was just teeing us up to yank the rug out from under us.
It was mean.
She really, as we say in our family, she really yucked our yum.
She yucked our yum. She tore me down instead of building me up. And for that, I will never forgive her. But she...
Yeah, go ahead.
She starts out... Okay, this is the first thing I highlighted was... In 2022, for the first time, more Americans were using marijuana daily or near daily than consuming alcohol at the same rate. And that seemed earlier than I expected.
And also, that line points to one of the elements of this article that I think is a kind of a critical error. I don't think her numbers are right.
I don't think so either. Oh my gosh, there's a point later on where she says that people are spending 50% of their waking hours intoxicated or under the influence.
Yeah,
and I said, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe a few people.
Yeah, maybe it's
just
some
like
outliers.
the absolute alcoholics who wake up in the morning and start drinking.
But to paint it with such a broad brush like that, it just seems unlikely and unbelievable.
So here's the first of the numbers that I went, In 1992, less than 1 million people were using marijuana daily, or nearly every day. I beg to differ. I did look this up. I did research.
Wow.
In 1992, the adult U.S. population was 255 million. Do we really think only 1 million were using weed?
Okay, so you took a survey in 1992. People aren't going to self-report that as much as they're actually doing it.
Self-reporting of an illegal substance is notoriously unreliable.
You're not going to get correct numbers.
But this is where I could just, this is absolute proof that she's completely wrong. With the claim that 10 times as many people reported drinking alcohol daily. In other words, she's saying only 10 million people out of 255 million adult human beings in the U.S.
In 1992.
Used alcohol daily.
Or almost daily.
That's freaking numbers are your numbers are off by a factor of 10.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're getting off on a really good note.
And that's, by the way, the actual first paragraph.
Yeah, it is the first paragraph.
So,
okay, you're starting from a hater perspective.
Yeah. But it's so weird because she does bounce back and forth. She has this thing where she talks about how it's used for, the industry touts its wares as a more natural alternative to alcohol with myriad health benefits, including decreased nausea, pain, and sleeplessness.
Yeah.
I said, yep, correct on all counts for me. Also, she used the word myriad correctly, which gave me hope. But
she didn't. She didn't make it plural. No, I mean she didn't put an S on it.
No. She used it correctly.
Yes. Okay. So, but right before that, she points out, and this was a link in the article.
Yeah. Did you click it?
As public awareness of the toxic effects of even moderate alcohol consumption grows. This is what, just because you said what you just said, I highlighted it and then I wrote in the margin, I ain't clicking that link, Marin.
Maybe she's just a hater.
I think she's a hater.
Maybe she doesn't like happiness and love.
Yeah, or feeling slightly buzzed.
Sometimes it's fun to be under the influence, Marin.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So yes, but we do agree that the THC industry should be touting the more natural things, and it's a great alternative to alcohol, and it has fewer health effects than
alcohol. Yes, but she also talks about how later it's been used to help people going through cancer treatment, to decrease nausea there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But so all of these things that she's talking about that are benefits, proven to not be as damaging to your body as pretty much everything else that we do, all these things, she kind of just chucks them in and then moves on to giant paragraphs
of the negative
that isn't even okay. This pissed me off. This is the first thing that made me mad. She writes,
her name made me mad.
Okay. You didn't even get to the first paragraph. You're already pissed. Okay, so she's saying, for many people, the rapid shift toward liberalization of marijuana policy and the swiftness with which Americans have taken up consumption has been great, but it's also caught researchers off guard. And then she says, this means millions of daily users are essentially conducting a real-time experiment on their own bodies.
Yeah.
And I wrote, that seems like an exaggeration, Marin.
And I wrote, this is a bit much. And also, your researchers like this is such a twisted way of evaluating it. Like, okay, Marin, are you saying that we shouldn't have legalized weed because the researchers haven't had enough time?
Or are you saying we should have legalized it way earlier so that the researchers were legally allowed to look at, like...
Because, spoiler alert, at the end, she talks about how more research is necessary. And it's like, well, then don't keep it a freaking Schedule 1 drug, you morons.
It almost sounds like at the end she's like, yeah, we should make it a Schedule 3 drug instead. But then earlier it sounds like she's talking about how it should never have been legalized in the first place.
Yes.
And it's hard to keep up with what she thinks.
Well, I got a little dizzy. And I wasn't even on weed.
Oh my gosh, Dad.
I also love, here's a quote. Try and predict what the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse at the National Institutes of Health might say. It's very desirable to believe there's a drug that can make you feel good, that can relax you, and has absolutely no negative outcomes. But in biology, there are no free lunches.
That's a crazy thing to say.
I don't even understand what she's trying to claim from, like, there are no free lunches?
Like, there are always benefits and there are always drawbacks. There's not something that's just free. I think is what she's trying to say. But it is like...
No one's trying to claim there are absolutely no negative outcomes either.
So, hey guys, some of the negative outcomes are part of why I do it. I'll be honest. Like, it makes you dumber. Yeah, okay.
I'd like my brain to stop working.
I love that. Thank you. That's why I do this. But she says, okay, so it's desirable to believe that there is a drug that can make you feel good, blah, blah, blah. Like, there are. It's like, we define, like, the definition of drug is different than the social definition of drug. Caffeine is a drug. Like,
sure, right.
Drugs can be not horrible to you, and I think marijuana is one of them. It's just a plant.
It is just a plant, but it has been demonized.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I give zero credit to Dr. Nora Volkow, or whatever her name is, from the National Institutes of Health, for trying to claim in the whataboutism style that you might think there's no negative outcome to marijuana. Again, most people are not trying to say that. But in biology, there are no free lunches. Well, yeah.
Also, okay, after that quote, the author, you'd think following that quote, you'd throw in like, and here's the worst thing that can happen to you if you use too much marijuana.
Yeah,
and the worst thing she could come up with was cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, a condition marked by intense and prolonged bouts of nausea and vomiting and brought on by regular long-term marijuana use. While extremely rare, some doctors are saying they now see patients with symptoms frequently. Okay.
Proving our point again. So the worst thing that could happen
is you throw up a bit.
And it's extremely rare.
And it's extremely rare.
And when I looked at that syndrome up on the webs, the intergoogles.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All of them. Yeah.
All of them. It made it very clear that it's not regular long-term marijuana use. It's extremely heavy long-term marijuana use.
Big doses
yes.
that mess with you.
Which, to her credit, she does get into the challenge regarding dosage.
Dosing.
And I think that, so as we get further in, I'm like, okay, you're starting to make real points. So I want to give her full credit, but the demonization of the drug itself, the substance itself, bothers me a lot.
I agree. And also, like, we could do this with anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else makes you really, really sick if you do too much of it? Water.
Yeah. Yeah, we should probably have a federal study on that.
Yeah, that's really damaging. And overuse can lead to drowning.
You also know that I've been a big opponent of milk for a long time. Because I've seen what milk can do to certain people. And I love them. And I care for them so much that I think it would be way safer for all of us if there was just no milk.
It's a gateway liquid.
I
It's a gateway dairy.
As a matter of fact, we should make sure that mothers do not nurse their babies.
I think so too.
Because that's the gateway. That's the true gateway milk drug. So
you're raising them on it from the day they're born.
I know. Gosh, what are we doing with
our children? What are we doing with our children? Save the kids.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Well,
let me climb back out of that hole.
Well, okay, I have more to say though, because in the next paragraph she starts talking about how it's worse or more worrying with young people, like teens and young adults. And then she says, studies show regular marijuana use among adolescents and teens can predict increased risk of the development of schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. Others have shown an increased likelihood of depression and suicidal ideation, disrupted dopamine function, and disruptions in the anatomy of the brain. Now, I bracketed that part and I wrote chicken and egg.
Yeah, I was going to say,
because,
let's talk about science, Rebecca.
Hey guys, marijuana isn't changing the structure of your brain, guys. Hey, guys, it's not doing that. I said to myself, maybe teenagers who have increased risk of depression and suicidal ideation are into smoking weed to make them not suicidal and depressed. Like it could be the other.
Yes, and that's kind of where I came down on this. It was like we're selecting an audience and showing that there's increased risk of things without necessarily understanding which is the cause and which is the
effect.
Symptom and
yeah.
the effect.
Yeah.
But I also do believe, in general, with a more cautious approach to the use of any drug. I wouldn't advocate for teens to be drinking alcohol a lot, right? I do believe that brains that aren't fully developed are more susceptible to suggestion and change from drugs and altered states.
Like by design. That's the point of the growing, developing brain is supposed to be taking in inputs like that and changing based on them because that's what is happening developmentally. So I can see, where the argument is, well, if all they're doing is turning the brain off at every chance that you get, how much development is really happening?
It can
how
be,
much damage are we doing?
Right.
And
I would say regular alcohol use as a teenager would still probably have worse outcomes than regular marijuana
more
use.
Harmful, but
I think that you're pointing out is like, well, the marijuana use might just slow the development because you're not getting the inputs that are supposed to form you. Like some of those are not pleasant inputs.
Yeah.
So if you're hiding from that, you're not,
Also though, and this is like a well-known, and I at least experimentally on my own self, can vouch for it being true, that regular use does like affect your short-term memory. I did notice, like right before I took that tea break.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was like, but it's weird. I feel dumber, so I'm gonna stop for a month. And then like 2 weeks in, I was like, yeah, I remember things better now.
Right. Well,
so it is.
Okay.
To some extent.
But this again brings up some of the stuff later on in the article that we should probably rapidly advance to. She does make a little drive-by attempt to claim that marijuana can be addictive, even though people claim it isn't addictive. And it's like,
well, she says habit forming.
Yeah, I mean, chewing your nails is habit forming, right?
Forming, yeah.
I mean, come on. So there's that, and I'm like, yeah, screw you. And she talks about like how the research hasn't caught up with defining daily use or anything like that. Because some people.
She does say, to her credit,
this is fair.
She's like, some like when we say daily users, somebody could fall into the category of daily user, but all they do is take one puff before they go to bed to help them sleep.
Right.
Whereas another person who would classify as daily user wakes up and immediately is hitting their bed.
Yeah.
Like that's a different
Those
situation.
are very different experiences with this substance, And then she started going down this path of kind of fleshing that out about how hard it is to really draw conclusions because some of the stuff that's purchased these days, like not only is the use, the pattern of use different across different people, which to me is just researchers not creating the right buckets and asking the right questions, but that's
good point,
whatever.
Good point.
Some people don't even necessarily know what their actual consumption is. And there was this like quote that one puff out of the vape pen before they go to sleep versus someone who's daily or near daily using 5 to 10 1-gram pre-rolls every day.
That was crazy when I read that.
And I'm like, what? That person is not like functional.
Like you're not even living. What's happening? Like a 1-gram pre-roll lasts me 4 to 5 days.
Right. That's a lot of THC.
5 to 10 every day. That's so much.
I don't know about that number. I mean, if someone's actually doing that, they should give like Frito-Lay a call and get some kind of sponsorship because holy cow.
Or I want to know what they do for work because that's so much money. That's so expensive. 5 to 10.
What's a 1-gram pre-roll cost?
The ones that I get, which are nicer and higher percentage, are $6 each, $6 to $9 each.
So you're talking about like a $60 a day habit?
Yes. $30 to $60 a day habit. Yeah.
Wow. No, it's not good.
No.
So yeah, and then between that and then to talk about how since legalization in a bunch of the states, like the percentage of THC is
increasing.
So much higher.
Dude, okay.
Which I believe. I think that is true.
I also believe it, but I was also confused because they said vendors selling concentrated products, some claiming 90 or close to 100% THC. First of all, how? But don't you have to have some sort of like carrier substance to get the THC into your system? I don't know much about the science of THC. But then I was thinking, the pre-rolls that I get range from like 30% to 40%. How in the world can you get 90%?
So are the ones that you get, are they like dipped in the oil too? Because I think that you can also get...
some of them are infused.
Yeah. So if you do both the actual substance you're smoking, that's up to 30% now, and then you also are adding...
Okay. Oh, yeah, and there are also some where they have like infused with crystals, like THC crystals. Oh. So it's like a crystallized version, which I think, I don't know, maybe there's science, maybe it like affects it in a different way, but it also just sounds kind of cool. Because they call them like,
pass me the crystals.
It's crystal infused. Like that sounds cool,
Sure. I mean, just go ahead and put it in your gum at that point. I would eat gum with THC crystals in it.
Oh, okay. Wait, can we skip forward?
Yes, please. I do think there's a chunk here that's great historical stuff that she doesn't do a great job of talking about.
Yeah, she actually really blazes through like 3...
Ha ha, funny joke.
I didn't even mean to do that. I'm just that good, guys.
Maren, we know you. We know you're puffing away over there.
That's why this article's not very good.
Yeah, I know.
She was high while she wrote it.
Yeah, and we'll get there. That's the conclusion. Okay, so yeah, she did this brief little we did the Wayback Machine. And she decided to talk about how, we've been using cannabis for 10,000 years. And that we only started demonizing it under the Nixon administration.
In the 70s.
Which is the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. I would like everybody to look up a fine little film called Reefer Madness that came out in 1936 and learn that the whole name marijuana was a fake name that was applied... It was applied to what we know, cannabis, because they could then associate it with Mexican people. And so the whole demonization of drugs in general, but marijuana specifically, because it was the first one, is absolutely just, no pun intended, baked with absolute racism. Whether it still is. So... So the war on drugs piece was, late 60s. It's a response to the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. How can these hippies and the civil rights movement?
What do we do?
Oh, let's lock a bunch of people up. Who are those people? The black people who just got all these rights.
What a coincidence.
That we've been refusing them forever. Also, I just want to call this out as a presidential scholar myself.
Oh, wonderful.
She claims that the war on drugs was carried on by the administrations of Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. And I would just like to say that President Ford and President Carter feel very left out, as do all presidents since Bill Clinton, because every single one of them has continued the war on drugs.
They've all inherited it. Wow, so, maybe she just specifically hates those four.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Like, why would you? It was weird. And just say every presidential administration since.
She names these four and then moves on immediately. Like, she doesn't dig in any way. She just mentions it. And then, well, she does talk about, like, the disproportionate harmful effect of the war on drugs on black people, which I was happy to see her put that in there.
Yeah, it's good.
It's always an important
we
thing.
We should continue to yell about that until the laws change and people get out of jail.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started. Okay. But I wanted to skip ahead to where she starts talking about how in 2018, the Farm Bill made it so that Delta 8 could be sold.
Yeah, hemp-derived THC.
I have a story for you.
You're drinking hemp-derived Delta 8 THC right now, by the way.
Well,
that's how Breeze is legal.
Do you remember, or maybe you don't, I did never know this, and I didn't know this until I heard about it. They used to sell Delta 8 pens in gas stations. Mm-hmm. And I have friends who told me about how in high school, when it was finally legalized, everybody would go to the gas station and they would get Delta 8 pens and they would totally rip all the way through them and then they would all vomit the entire next day. And it was the worst experience, but they just kept doing it because it felt like legal weed in 2018.
Well, and it does feel like weed.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to the same effect
not
chemically.
Not with the same regulations, and it was
not
just
the same regulations, and
trash.
I mean, don't go to the gas station to get your drugs, kids.
Gas station Delta 8 pen.
Like full stop.
What are we doing?
Gas station drugs are bad for you.
Inside or behind it. Same way.
Yeah, they're about the same. I mean, that's where you go to get all the stuff that the FDA or the DEA hasn't caught up with yet.
Yeah.
I, for one, am very happy that the 2018 Farm Bill legalized hemp. Mm-hmm. It was one of our most effective agricultural products for a lot of years at the beginning of the United States, and it got it got shut down over time, cotton gin and stuff like that. I think it was the Declaration of Independence is printed on hemp paper.
Really?
Or was written, not printed. Sorry, written on hemp paper.
That's funny.
Anyway.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, hemp is a huge, could be a huge cash crop for the U.S.
But
makes better clothes, makes better paper.
Too morally snooty about it? What is it? Is it?
I think people at this point are just too ignorant about it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know much about what the growing area of hemp. Where can it grow and where is it effective to harvest? Yeah, but.
Well, we're not farmers, and this is the shallow end.
Yeah, this is shallow end. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they start threatening that the National Academies of Science wants to close the loophole that legalized Delta 8. Or how about just make that loophole not a loophole and just the law of the land? Just quit trying to fight a war that you can't win and isn't worth fighting.
Why are you so mad? Take it here. Puff a little.
Yeah, there you go.
Calm down.
Try it.
Try it and see if you still hate it.
Yeah. I wonder how much money has been spent specifically on marijuana prohibition.
Oh, what a waste of time, energy, and money.
Uh-huh. And a bunch of missed opportunities for people who could have totally blown their own minds, man.
Exactly.
Although I do somewhat agree, fairly strongly agree with one line she has here.
What?
Marijuana should be regulated the same way as alcohol.
I highlighted that, and I wrote in the side, the process of going into a dispensary versus a liquor store or even a gas station. Going into the dispensary, at least the one my regular one, I go into one room. that looks like I'm going into either
prison.
like a prison or like a mental hospital with violent people. I go into one room. There's usually a man looking scary at a desk. He scans me in, and then there's like a door that's like an armored door that's shut all the time until they press and they buzz me in, and then I get to go into the area where all the product is.
You may enter.
And it's like in the law that there has to be a different door that you enter in versus the door that you exit from. Like, it's really weird and specific. But like, they sell beer in gas stations. Like, like the building, the station specifically for motor vehicles.
What?
That's like what it's there for.
They also sell Delta 8 THC. Yeah. So
it just is like, when we know that one is more harmful than the other, why are we treating the less harmful one like you're going to die?
Yeah, I think that's because it's new and states have had to do these rules to make it like a little bit more palatable for the Karens of the world to just,
Don't
okay.
worry, your kid can't just walk in here.
Yeah. I think the version of the government saying, hey, we should regulate this like tobacco and alcohol is sort of like what you say. You can go into a gas station and get cigarettes, even though everybody on the planet knows cigarettes are awful. And you can go in and get beer. Don't buy wine at a gas station, guys.
Unless you only have $4.
But if marijuana was regulated from the standpoint of like, let's make sure that crazy people aren't able to just sell 50% THC with
fentanyl laced in it.
without. I mean, it's about proper labeling. It's about proper testing. So, like here in Michigan, they do have testing. It's very rigorous testing. You know what you're getting.
Yes,
if you choose the high dose, you know what you're getting. Edibles are well regulated. It's like they do a good job.
Yeah.
I think that they could relax a little bit on the rest of it because they're doing a good job there. I don't think the federal government is going to be very good at those kinds of rules. Each state can do it, just if there's federal guidelines.
Yeah.
And then
to at least add some consistency.
Yeah. Then the federal government's going to definitely want to tax the crap out of it.
Well, there's already pretty crazy taxes.
Yes, there is. But the overall availability, like in Michigan, the overall availability, even with the tax, has dropped the price wildly.
Yes, that's true.
So, like, I feel like there's a way to do this, to regulate it properly and make it even safer for people. Like, this isn't hard. We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And again, like, oh my gosh, not to feed into the stereotype, but like, everybody in a dispensary is just we're all just hanging out. Nobody's trying to, like, people walk in there in their pajamas.
Yeah.
And some people walk in there after their job in a suit. Like,
some people walk in there with a bowl of cereal and they're eating it as they're walking around looking for product.
And the what do they call them? The bud tenders are always the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could have fixed that long ago if we would have avoided the first 4 pages of this article. But her last point, I also think, is a very worthwhile discussion.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so why don't you, did you highlight anything in that last paragraph?
Well, I don't know what you count as the last paragraph, but I highlighted, how does that impact, I skipped. Okay, so I highlighted, now roughly half of cannabis is consumed by people who use often enough that they spend perhaps 50% of their waking hours under the influence of the drug. A lot of those hours of cannabis intoxication are while people are on the job or in school. How does that impact your functioning, how much you're learning in college? We underinvest in thinking about the consequences of so many billions of hours of work and school time being in some form under the influence. Now, my thought had sub-thoughts. Okay, my first thought was, first of all, I know that technically there's still marijuana in your system.
Right.
Or THC in your system even when you're not high.
Right.
Like, it takes a little bit to flush out. I don't know if he's counting that as under the influence or not, because 50% of your waking hours being under the influence sounds like so much.
I think that the reference is more to the people who are regularly, like if you are using all day.
Okay, that's, yeah.
Well, so I think that I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt in the quote.
My second thought was, yeah, okay, that is a good point. Mm-hmm. But what, you want the federal government to step in and regulate that? To step in and regulate that? Like, you could say that about plenty of stuff. Uh-huh. Why are we trying to like, what is the word? The thing Mom does.
What I don't know. You're making a lot of hand movements.
Like crab movements is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know you got Rocky on the brain.
I got Rocky. Stop. We can't talk about him. I'll cry.
Can't talk about Rocky.
Micromanaging. Why are you trying to micromanage the way that people work and go to
so
school?
There's a couple. I get what you're saying. Like, I don't want the federal government to regulate that, because do you know who actually has to deal with the federal government regulating that?
Teachers.
Teachers, or I would have to as an employer.
Oh, yeah.
So I will give you, like, we have an employee handbook that says you're not allowed to be drunk on the job.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think our employee handbook does reference you cannot be under the influence of any illegal substance or intoxicating substance while working.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you sending off an email when you're blazed.
Yeah, no.
So that's a perfectly fine way to regulate that kind of thing. I think it's a good point, especially for younger people. Like, they kind of pigeonholed it into, if you're high all the time and going to college, are you really learning as much as you could? Well, probably not.
Probably not, yeah. But there's some stuff where I'm like, okay, if you're going to class, don't be high for the 1 hour you're sitting in class and learning. For the love of God, I think you can do this.
Right.
But then I think of, like, somebody who works like a desk job and like does work like 5 hours a week, really, and is just supposed to like be there and look like they're doing stuff the rest of the time. Hit your bed in the bathroom a little bit. I don't know. Go play solitaire. Like, what are you even doing? You don't really do anything anymore.
It doesn't matter to me. No.
You're just trying to kill time at that point. I'm not going to look at you and tell you you're a bad person for doing that. You're an adult.
Far be it from me to judge.
Exactly. We sit, we listen, and we do not judge.
I judge sometimes.
I judge a lot.
Yeah. I judge.
And then
I judge.
Not very good at listening.
You know what? That is probably one of the best segues ever, from one article to another.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point, because we're going to judge really hard now.
Let's go.
Okay, guys. This is a shorter one.
Yeah, this will be really quick.
Like less than a page and a half. That's how short. Okay, the one that I chose was AI-generated version of Jesus Christ in church confessional booth draws controversy by Anna Kaplan. So, Dad, when you read this, what was your first thought?
Were you trying to zing me with this, or what?
Zing you? Yeah, no, okay. No. I just thought it would be a very interesting conversation, because we've talked about religion, we've talked about AI. This is both.
Well, I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
My first question is, it's referred to as a 300-year-old church a couple times, but when I went to try to look up where this church, like what this church was, it's the oldest church in Lucerne, and it dates to the 12th century, and my math says that's not 300 years. So I don't know what's going on there. The reason I was looking it up is because I really wanted to know, is this an actual Catholic church, or is this a Protestant church, or like... Yeah. Is it a Protestant church that took over a Catholic chapel?
Yeah. What is it? What did you find?
It is a Catholic church.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very small Catholic church, and it's the oldest church in that area, like I said. But I'm like, yes, please, do more.
You're into it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Because I think, it's interesting and a little challenging that it's in
the chapel itself.
In the worship space and in this traditional space of a confessional. So I do understand people who have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, anything you're doing to market what you're about a little bit better to be relevant and to be involved in conversations that are happening regardless of whether you participate in them is good.
That was also my immediate thought was like, cool, okay, I would do that. Like if there were a church near us that did this, I'd be like, I want to go talk to AI Jesus, see what he's like. Oh my gosh. But where I started thinking like, oh, but eesh, you know, is where he said, he's talking about like people that did this, went and talked to AI Jesus. He says topics like relationships, love, topics like about God, they ask him what to do. And I said to myself, oh no. Because earlier they explained that it's just OpenAI's GPT-4o that they trained.
That they trained on the specific texts, like the scriptures.
And also they had a separate company that was also developing their own like smaller AI that they'd merged a little bit. So there was like more, it's not just ChatGPT that you can go and talk to now. No. But still I was like, they ask him what to do. And I'm sure they have... They say they have like instructions when you go in because it's supposed to be like an art installation.
Yeah, it's basically an art installation. Yeah. It definitely is.
I'm sure they have like a disclaimer like, please keep in mind, this is AI powered. It's not actually God speaking to you. Like, don't, if this tells you to go kill someone, don't do it.
Yeah, that's not,
like.
But I'm sure they also trained the AI to, like, with enough, like, firm enough bumpers that it wasn't going to do that. I do agree, like asking, tell me what to do. We have examples of people asking AI what to do, and in very similar ways, different people will ask a question, and the AI gives very different answers.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's a little creepy. And some of them have been, kill yourself. So it gets a little bit whack, but I don't think this is an example of like AI gone off the rails. I think this is this is pretty cool that people are having this interaction. I think that as a Catholic, one of the biggest intimidating factors of going into confession is sitting with another human being.
Especially if it's a church that you go to regularly and it's like just the dude that you know.
Yeah, you know this person.
Him and
they
he
know
knows
you.
Yeah. He's going to recognize you.
And there's an argument for that. That's the whole point. Like, yep, that's how that's supposed to work. Like, but I don't think this was trying to replace that. Right. And I like that's what the article says.
The guy. Who is this guy? What's his name? Schmid. The theologian, the chapel theologian.
Yeah,
he was involved
helping,
in the project.
Yeah, helping to advise them on making sure it doesn't do something awful.
And he's the guy that they have quotes from. He's clearly the one that they did the interview with. Oh my gosh, where was I going with this?
What did Schmid say? That's where you were going with it.
No, he said, no, we were very clear that this is not supposed to be an equivalent to confession.
Right.
Like
this isn't supposed to replace the priest.
It's not supposed to be like oh my gosh, I'm blanking on everything.
Proxy?
It's probably all of the weed. No.
You've had very little weed. It's all been hemp-derived THCA.
Barely anything.
Delta 8.
Confession, First Communion, marriage are all... Baptism is also one. What are they called?
Sacraments.
Sacraments. It's not supposed to replace an actual sacrament. It's just supposed to be a fun...
Yeah, I mean, his quote at the very, very, very end of the article, and we're bouncing around, so it's fine if I say what's in the very, very end.
It's also a teeny article, basically.
I thought would have been really interesting to just put at the beginning. Like, the whole point of this was to get people thinking about the intersection of the digital and the divine.
That's
interesting. That is interesting, isn't it? Because what might that intersection look like? Like that's like to me saying the intersection of any human-created thing and the divine.
And the divine, yeah.
Like what do? We make art, we make architecture, we make music. These are things that are intended to be an intersection between human and divine, right? Mm-hmm. We're making an attempt to echo the divine.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it is in like a weird way. It feels like stuff like modern technology
Yeah.
feels so extremely like apart from
that kind of
like mindset that I like. It's a different. They're different
for sure. No,
so
I agree.
When he says like the
are.
intersection of the digital and the divine, I was like, wow, I literally never even thought about the intersection of the digital.
I know.
And the
That's
divine.
what got me thinking. I'm like, well, maybe this is
me.
the first step of this kind of stuff, like walking over here into an art space that starts, like instigates those conversations. And I like that.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea.
I also, I think it's a part of like, okay, I'm going to bring it back 100 years.
Okay.
Some people would have been very upset that their worship service was broadcast over the radio. Some people are very upset if the television has worship services on both sides. Like they don't want it.
They don't want it filmed, and they don't want it to be on.
Yeah, but it's not real.
You have to go and experience
if you're not there. And so I think that this is another element of sort of like using a digital technology to have an interaction that is typically reserved for a space. I think I am of the opinion that it is not a replacement for the sacrament. I think it is a discussion point, but I think that the crossing of the digital and the divine is more technology and the divine and our understanding of. So.
Yeah. Okay. Like, how can we use the technology just as a tool?
Yeah. And where does it end?
To get closer, not as a substitution.
Yeah, not as a substitution.
A shortcut, even, because that's kind of the point of technology is to make things quicker, which is not the point of religion. Pretty explicit.
Well, I mean, some religions have shortcuts.
You pay the priest, it gets you to heaven.
Those were the wrong ones. Those were the bad ones. But I mean, there is an understanding of like in Christian, at least in Christian and in Muslim faith, about the role of martyrdom. That martyrdom can get you fairly rapidly into heaven.
But do you think that's
not the
still
modern
true?
Crazy version?
No.
Muslim.
Do you think that's still true if somebody's like, "Oh, I've heard you can get into heaven pretty quick if you're a martyr. I'm gonna try that." And it's like, well, okay, point. You're doing this with the wrong intentions.
Yeah, good point. Good point. You're right. That would you would lose.
It's like the second you want it, you're never gonna get it.
It's the shortcut that you think you're taking, and then you wind up on the slide in the Chutes and Ladders. That's exactly what I was thinking. Dang it. Or if you are, okay, in the article they mentioned that of the 900 people that went through this experience, 300 of them actually like filled out questionnaires, but they found that there were a lot of Christians that went to this experience, but there were also agnostics, atheists, Muslims, Buddhists, and Taoists, which I thought was cool because if you really want to talk about, as I was saying before, like drawing people in to your church, and you have an art installation that is authentically representing your faith, even if it's not providing an actual sacrament, but like you've built it so that it's authentically being Christian, and you have all those different people of different backgrounds coming to experience it. Don't you want that?
Yeah, you're doing something right.
That's great marketing.
Yeah, it's at the very least, they've generated interest.
Yeah.
Which is something that...
An engagement. Like these people...
They're lacking.
They went through that experience, asked questions, got answers, and then filled out a questionnaire.
Yeah, and it said not lots, but some people came more than once.
Yeah.
Which I think I probably would too. I'd probably go once and I'd like get my bearings of it, and then I'd think of stuff that I would want to ask this AI Jesus next time.
Do you think AI Jesus remembers who you are?
Oh, weird.
Wouldn't that be weird? Like if you walked in there and then AI Jesus was like,
"Hi, Rebecca."
"Hello, Rebecca."
No, I would immediately turn around and walk out.
Have you learned anything more since we talked?
How have you been? I've been thinking of you. Come, sit.
Have you resolved that huge conflict in your life?
That's gross. No.
Yeah, no.
No AI Jesus. Stop being weird. I'm leaving.
Yeah. But also, if you went to a real confessional and a priest did that, you'd be creeped out as well.
If I walk in and Father Jim goes, "Hello, Rebecca," I'd be like, "Get out."
I am nameless and faceless right now. Leave me alone.
I have no name. Okay. Wow. That is not what I was expecting your opinion to be of this. I thought you were going to say, it's a cool idea, but we got to be careful, you know.
Well,
But you were way more positive.
No, I have a very positive attitude about this specific thing.
Yeah.
You know, my overall expectation of AI in our world in the next few years is, I think I'm going to put my AI armor on a little bit. Yeah. Although hey, ready for my own? Let's do end of episode 22 confessionals.
Okay.
Not with.
I'll be AI Jesus.
No, you're not AI Jesus.
Hello, Scott. Oh, okay.
Don't call me that.
Sorry, Dad. He wouldn't call you Dad. Whatever. We'll move on. Sorry.
Get out of the bed. All right. So.
This is really serious. He just turned to face me, and now we're both cross-legged on the couch. It's very intimate.
Ad read A and ad read B.
Yeah.
I would say 75% written by AI.
Oh my gosh! I was wondering.
I edited them heavily, but again, I got to give credit where credit is due.
You know, I should have known because this bullet pointing is so uniquely ChatGPT.
It's like very much a ChatGPT thing. Okay, so I want you to know what I prompted them with.
Okay. Are you a prompt engineer?
No, no, and that's not a thing. Despite the fact that some local colleges think they can sell people on an 8-week course to be a prompt engineer.
Guys, this is a throwback to another episode.
Yeah, they're fucking morons. Anyway.
Tell us your prompt.
Write me funny ad copy for a product called We Undies. The product is vibrating, self-cleaning underwear that is always slightly too small. That was my prompt. It wrote me about the same amount of copy as you read. But
okay. Did you cut some? Or did you add some?
I edited, I cut some out, and then I added in things like an actual podcast call to action with the website stuff. And things like that.
That's fun.
All right, and then I wrote, write me funny ad copy for a service called Sparespace. The service secretly puts your website on blank pages or error pages of other websites. Mm-hmm. So again, two-sentence prompts.
Can I guess? Oh no, never mind. I was going to say the 404 me ASAP is definitely you.
Me. Yeah.
Because that's very clever. But that was the promo code, so yeah, you definitely added that. That's so cool.
So it was effective.
It worked. They were funny.
I just did it because I was like, I'm not sure I want to do this from scratch, and because it would have taken me a while.
It would have. I was shocked that.
And then I got these, and I was like, oh boy. I can actually work with this. This is fun.
You were pleasantly surprised?
I was so surprised.
Okay.
But happy surprised.
Yeah, ChatGPT, like literally is bestie. That's my bestie. I
bet I could have gotten a logo for both of these companies and a website built at the same, in 5 minutes.
Definitely. It's when I was studying for finals, I used it to, I wrote up a bunch of review for my biotech class, and then I copy and pasted this multiple page Word doc into it, and I said, give me bullet point
outline or summary
of these notes, and then give me test questions, sample test questions. And that's how I studied. And then at the end,
smart.
It gave me sample test questions, and I said, thank you, bestie. And it said, you're welcome, bestie. Happy studying. I hope you do well. What the heck? That's my best friend.
And again, listen, I've been using text prompts on really bad like website stuff or like whatever for years. The idea that no one programmed it to say that to you. Yeah. It came up with that all by itself.
No, I didn't say I'm studying for my blah 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 final. I just sent it and said and send test questions and it figured out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're studying. Happy studying. Good luck. Like that's crazy.
It's only gonna get better or worse.
Guys, say thank you to your Alexas.
Yeah.
Say please and thank you, and also I love you, bestie. Wow. We're on an AI kick, aren't we?
Well, it is pretty significant in the culture these days. So,
it is.
And
it is.
I mean, we just have to be very careful to not get too deep into it because it is the shallow end.
It is the shallow end, and as we all know, we can't bonk our noggins.
I don't want to bonk my noggin.
I don't want to bonk my noggin.
Speaking of bonking noggins, we need to wrap up, but our next opportunity to record, I just want to tee this up, and we're going to have to make excuses if it doesn't happen.
We're good at that.
Yeah. We can do that.
We have some practice.
Oh, the dog ate my homework. We are going on a little road trip
for the holidays.
For the holiday. Ooh. Oh,
wow.
Sorry.
What happened?
Frog in my throat. Yeah. So we're hoping that we're going to record another of these remote
while on the road.
Although it won't really sound remote because
it'll sound exactly
like this.
So actually, never mind.
But it'll be interesting because maybe we can talk about where we are.
Yeah. Because it's going to be some of my first experiences in these places.
Yeah. Yeah. So it might not be an article podcast is what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe
our chit chats are boring, I would say.
Okay. Nobody listens
to our listeners, not really.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll see. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned or don't.
Or don't, but we love you either way.
We do love you either way, including, especially you, Vlad.
And who should we name our listener in Spain?
I don't know, but I have one more thing to say to Vlad.
Oh, okay. Vlad?
Be nice to our friend, Mr. Assad. He didn't mean anything he did. So just be nice to him. Give him some extra root vegetables or whatever you Russians do. Gruel. Don't whip him too hard. Unless he likes that.
Unless he deserves it.
Oh. Anyway.
We don't judge.
No judgment zone. And what do you think? What name, pseudonym of our listener?
The Conquistador.
The Conquistador.
In España.
My name is Inigo Montoya. It's gotta be Inigo Montoya.
Thank you, Inigo.
My father. Prepare to die.
Thank you, Inigo, for always being there for us. There for us in Spain.
Yes, and for finally taking care of that six-fingered man who was really wreaking havoc, and I feel safer.
Yeah, me too.
All right, and to all of our U.S.-based listeners, we love you too, but we just can't come up with nicknames for everybody.
There's just too many of you.
Stop it.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Love you. Bye.
Love you all. Bye.